horn.
Shabbat Shalom. We're so glad to have you. We want to remind anyone who is joining us by live stream on YouTube that you're welcome to join us in the Zoom room. And for those of you who are in the Zoom room, please keep yourselves on mute so that we can enjoy the beautiful music and davening of Chazan Mimi. I'm going to turn it back over for us to continue with Shiru Ladonai, page 13.
Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz. We're going to continue with Lechado D, the first and last verses. I believe it is on page, I can't even read, 23 and 25. And tonight's melody is not our usual one, but it's an old Israeli melody. As my heart is in the East, I hope you'll join and sing with me on this one. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabla, Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmiyanu el hameyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lechadodi, everyone join with me. Lechadodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabla. Lechadodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabla. We'll rise, bo'vi v'shalom, ateret kala, gam b'simcha v'tzola, toch emuneham segula, bo'vi chala, Lechadodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabla, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat remain standing for Baruch Hu on page 39A or B. Either one has the same word, so please again join with me. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Lai, 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 ya, la, la, lai, lai, lai. Ya, la, lai, la, lai, lai, la, lai, lai. Ya, lai, 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 ya, la, la, lai, lai, lai. Ya, la, lai, la, lai, 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 lai.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night. Blessed are you, God, who brings each evening's dusk.
Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Haravim. We continue page 40, Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Akein Adonai Eloheinu, V'shofreinu v'kumeinu, Nasiach b'chukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, U'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem neged yomam v'layla, yavatecha tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
We turn to page 41 for the Shema. Oh, Chazan Mimi, I think I spoke over you.
No, I was gonna say, I wanted to know if Clarissa felt like she wanted to lead Shema and Ve'ahavta. She just did a thumbs up. So we're gonna continue and have Clarissa do that, and we'll continue silently, and she'll end with Lama'an Tizkaru. Ready?
Page.
We need the page.
Page 41.
Thank you. Oh, there you go. Thank you. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי Metzalfecha hayom alavavecha Vishinantam levanecha Vedibarta bam Vishiftecha vetecha Uvalechtecha vaderech Uvshokbecha ukumecha Ukshartam leot al yadecha V'chayila totafot beinenecha Uftaftam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha.
We'll continue to ourselves at the top of page 42. Clarissa is going to continue towards the bottom of page 42 with Leman Tizkeru.
Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim lelochechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti ethem be'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lahem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Emed.
Beautiful job, Clarissa. And to be able to do that without any warning or any notice, you just know it so well and you can jump right in. Thank you so much. It's always good to have you participate in our service.
Thank you.
So I think that all of our hearts and minds are a little bit heavy this evening as we think about what's going on in Israel, and many of us who have a family, friends, people we know, people we care about in Israel, and whether you have blood relatives in Israel or not, I think we all think about those in Israel as our family, our extended family of Jews around the world. And so with Israel in mind, I thought we could say a prayer for peace this evening. Sovereign who desires life, healer of broken hearts, who dresses the wounds of their sadness, here we entreat you, the prayer of parents, that you created us not to kill one another, nor that we live in fear, anger, and hate in your world. Rather, that we should know to give permission to one another to establish your name, the name of life, the name of peace in the world. For these I weep, my eyes flow with tears for children crying with fear in the night, for parents holding their toddlers and despair and darkness in their hearts. Who will rise and open a locked gate before sunset? And tears and prayers that I offer at all times, and tears which all people who hurt with the hard pain of this brutal time, I raise my hands up. We entreat you, Eternal One, have mercy on us, hear our voices, the Eternal, our God, in these evil days, that we not despair, so that we can see the life one for the other, that we may have mercy one for the other, sorrow one for the other, hope one for the other. And let us inscribe jointly our lives in the book of life, for your sake, God of life, that we choose life. For you are peace, and your abode is peace, and all that is yours is peace. And let that continue to be your will, and let us say amen.
Amen. Avidu Shebashamayim, Sur Yisrael v'gohalo, Ba'arechet Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Smichad Ge'ulateinu. Avinu Shebashamayim, Sur Yisrael v'gohalo, Ba'arechet Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Smichad Ge'ulateinu.
We'll continue our service now with Mi Chamocha, which you can find in your Siddur on page 44.
Mi chamocha ba'elim say, fella, who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? When Moses and the children crossed the sea, they sang to you with songs of joy. Who is like you, Adonai? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, osei fele. Our custom during the pandemic is to sing a special Hashkivenu, shelter us in place, shelter us in peace. Hashkivenu is a prayer of protection, and especially tonight, we pray for protection for all people here in this country, in throughout the world, especially in our holy cities right now. So please sing with me. Shelter us in place, shelter us in peace, shelter us in love, shelter us in love, shelter us in place. Shelter us in peace, shelter us in love, shelter us in love. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu Leshalom, Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu Leshalom. Shelter us in place, shelter us in peace, shelter us in love, shelter us in love, shelter us in peace. We continue the Shamru, also page 46. Vishameru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam Berit Olam. Ay, 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 Beni
to take a moment and think about the role that numbers play in your life, especially in how you take in information and put out information. When you tell stories, do you use numbers to make your point? Or when you read a news article, does it impact you differently when that article uses numbers? This Shabbat, we're starting a new book of the Torah, Bamidbar, which in Hebrew means in the desert, but the English name for the book is Numbers. And both are actually pretty good names because over the course of the book, the Israelites do wander through the desert, hoping to finally reach the promised land. And there are a lot of numbers and moments of counting in this book. And I think all these numbers leave us wondering, why? Why do we need a record of so many different numbers? How many times do we have to take a census? And why does it need to be recorded every single time? How does that help us understand the story of the Israelites wandering in the desert? So if you're here on Zoom, for those of you who are in the Zoom room, here's the question that I'd like you to answer if you're willing to. How do numbers help you understand information and relay information to others? So if you're on Zoom, you can unmute or raise your hand if you'd like to be called on. How do numbers help you either understand information or relay information to others? Clarissa.
So one way that numbers help me understand information is like when someone tells you that something is going to happen at a certain time, but you need to sort of like make a calculation in your head. Oh yeah, 3 hours after 5. Well, what time is that? And so I need to figure that out. And then a way that numbers help me relay information is like, sometimes I am saying like, I want to buy this for such and such amount of money. And money comes in the form of numbers that you need to, do a subconscious calculation. What does that number actually mean to you? And what, does that number quantify to you?
Awesome. So it's about being specific. It's hard to understand something without being specific. If you say, come over in the afternoon, I don't know if that means 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock. So Clarissa says, I need to know a time. If somebody says, prepare dinner. Is it dinner for one person or 25 people? That's a different amount of food. Numbers, like Clarissa tells us, help us be specific. What else? How do numbers help you either understand information or relay information to others? Scrolling through, Zisel.
Oops. Sorry, I had to unmute first. Numbers give us a sense of the either intensity of a certain event or the amount of support that it is for certain ideas or certain positions. Numbers tells us a lot of things in life. There is a route to 101 that you have to take. Those are numbers. Don't take the 405. Those are very practical numbers. There are also numbers. There was a rally called by XYZ, and 10 people showed up. It tells you that not too much support for XYZ, but ABC had 2,000 people. It gives you a sense of life around us.
Absolutely. So certainly when we're talking about freeways, it's important to know what numbers we're referring to. But I think you also make a good point about understanding support. How many people are supporting something? Did 5 people sign a petition, or did 500 people sign a petition, or come to a rally, or speak up about something, or share a particular post on social media? Those numbers help us understand public opinion. Irene.
For me, numbers helps define life, time of day, hours of the day, years, schedules.
Absolutely. All right. Defining life, defining schedules. Great. Okay, Bob, you're going to have the last word.
Oh, I have to let Tori go first, though.
Both of you.
Then I'll have the last word.
Numbers can tell you how bad or how good something is. And we've lately been absolutely obsessed with numbers vis-a-vis COVID. How many, remember. So it can tell you where you stand in relationship to things. and how good or how bad something is.
Absolutely. Right, Bob?
And to wrap it up, I was just going to say that there's almost nothing we do in life that doesn't deal with numbers. I mean, everything we do every day, almost every hour, we are dealing with numbers. So that was a great setup for my finishing note there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, you're a good team, and you're right. It would be so hard for us to understand the world around us without numbers. You know, Tori, you mentioned COVID, a pandemic that 3 people have, or that 3,000 people have, or that 3 million people have. Though that's a different news story, and we need to be able to understand using the numbers. Right? Numbers help us understand a narrative. It gives us specifics, as you all said, and it makes us feel that the information we're taking in is concrete and real. So when we try to wrap our heads and hearts around what's going on in Israel right now, knowing the numbers, knowing that 2,000 rockets have been fired into Israel over the past week, that gives us a sense of the situation, the number of rockets. And like Tori said, when we look at the pandemic, when we say, oh, the pandemic is getting better, that's nice. But when we look at the numbers, we say yesterday in LA, there were 213 new COVID cases, which is similar to what we saw in late March of 2020, right? And we can compare that to the daily average new cases in January, where we were seeing 14 or 15,000 per day. And now we're saying 213, that we can feel the magnitude of that change. You can say the pandemic is getting better, but those numbers tell us it really is getting better. And we rely on the numbers, right? COVID, Israel, about anything we're reading, those numbers help us understand. And to make sense of numbers, we have to have something to compare them to, right? That might seem obvious when we're dealing with current events. You can compare the COVID numbers to today, to January, to last March. We have enough context to know what those numbers mean. But in the Torah, we need more clues to understand the context of numbers, to be able to compare numbers to each other. So in this week's Parsha, Moses counts 603,550 men of draftable age who could fight in an army. That's how the census was done, men who could fight in an army. So we can compare that to the approximately 600,000 men at the time of the Exodus. And we can look at those two numbers and say, all right, the community has grown to some extent, but maybe not as much as we would have thought over this period of time, which tells us that many have died off as well. We're only seeing a few thousand more people over this period of time. Or we can try to look at these numbers more metaphorically. The Slonomer Rebbe, a Hasidic Rebbe, notes that the number of Israelites, that 603,550, is equal to the number of words in the Torah. And that just as the Torah is this unity but made up of individual words, the people of Israel is also a unity made up of individuals. If you take out just one word, the Torah is not complete. And if you take out just one person from the Jewish people, Israel then can't receive the Torah. The Israelites can't receive the Torah without all 603,550 individuals. And the Slonomer Rebbe suggests that this is the reason why this Parsha, Bamidbar, is read on the Shabbat immediately preceding Shavuot in most years. Because this census is meant to remind us that the act of receiving the Torah, it is an individual one, but it's also performed collectively in community. It's a collective act performed by individuals. And the fulfillment of the Torah, the Slonomer Rebbe tells us, can only be accomplished when the whole community of the people Israel stands as one. However, numbers help you understand a story concretely or metaphorically. We begin a book of the Torah this week that documents a journey of a large community wandering through the desert, just as in a few days, we will celebrate the Torah being given and the journey that hopefully it will take the Jewish people on for many generations to come. We'll continue now back in the Siddur on page 46 with Chatzi Kaddish as we start preparing ourselves for the Amidah, page 46.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah V'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei בחייכון וביומכון וחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילם ינקו ברכתה בשירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו amen.
We rise for the Amidah, and we'll invite you to take some time and pray personally from page 47 to 52. You can pray in the Hebrew, you can pray in the English, or whatever prayers are in your heart. And just want to encourage everyone to have peace in Israel in our hearts as we pray tonight. And we'll begin with the first 6 words out loud, top of page 47.
Adonai Spatai Tiftach Adonai Spatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha Adonai Spatai Tiftach Adonai Spatai Tiftach. Shalom Vimromav Ose Shalom Vimromav Uyase Shalom Uyase Shalom Shalom. Alleluia. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh shalom. Hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh shalom. Hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu.
We're going to join together now in a prayer for healing, because we know that so many within our community, beyond our community, Jews, non-Jews, all over the world could use healing. So we're going to join our voices together in Rifa'inu.
Rifa'enu Adonai B'nei Rapha. God, only you can bring true healing, and so we pray. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei Cholei Amo Yisrael. Blessed are you, Shechinahu, restores our loved ones, heal our people speedily in our day, and let us say Amen.
We will count the Omer together. This is the last Friday night that we will be counting the Omer, since Shavuot is coming up so soon, beginning on Sunday night. So if you know that Shavuot begins on Sunday night, that'll help you figure out the count. The blessing is on page 63, and the counting itself is on page 70. And in case you need an additional clue so that you can count along with us, last night we counted 47.
Shabrichu ushchinteh, hineni muchan umezuman, lekayem mitzvat aseh, shel sfirat ha'omer, shel sfirat ha'omer, shel sfirat ha'omer, shel sfirat ha'omer, sheba Shabbatot leminot tiyena, sheba Shabbatot temimot tiyena. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu, b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, al sfirat ha'omer, al sfirat ha'omer, al sfirat ha'omer, al sfirat ha'omer.
not already standing, we rise for Aleinu on page 56.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שנו שמיים ועושה הר. ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
In a moment, we'll join together for Kaddish, and we are keeping in mind the following yahrzeits with love this week: Betty Bridge, Lillian Cohen, Harriet Fenton, Amna Amariula, David Joseph Bushman, Sylvia Schuster, Herbert Shadowitz, Bernard Stock, Gertrude Wixell, Elaine Armour, Brian Scott Elkins, Sydney Nelson, Regina Astrachan, Joseph Kubitz, Walter Bill Feinberg, Michael Goldman, David Netzer, Anita Osborne, Aaron Resnick, Herman Rosenthal, Arthur Schwartz, Ovadia Shakiban, Ruth Steele, Jenny Epstein, Michael Gerner, Sam Keary, Morris Swedock, Alfred Braun, Bernard Ean, John Funt, Samuel Garber, Edith Mednick, Rogel Sejerazan, Ruth Freiberg, Elaine Hart, Norman Levine, Dale Litzinger, Joseph Perlman, Stan Schnitterman, Elliot Whitco, Harry Wank, and Serge Zwiebel. For anyone who is observing a yahrzeit or is in a period of mourning or has need or desire to recite Kaddish, you can feel free, if you're on the Zoom, actually to unmute yourself. You'll be heard but not seen. And for anyone joining us out there via live stream, know that we're holding you as well, and please join with us. We're on page 58. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah ve'amad yivrach brutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei v'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah barach le'olam almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yitabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnazeh. Vit Hadar, Vit Ale, Vit Halal, Shmed Kudsha, Brichu, Le'ela, Mimho, Birchata, Veshirata, Tush Bechata, Venechemata, Tamiran, Ve'alma, Amen. Eslam, Abba, Maya, Vechaim, Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael, Ve'imru, Amen. Shalom, V'imrav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael, Imru, amen. For those who are on Zoom who've unmuted yourselves, I'll ask you to remute yourselves. And we have a few announcements for you this evening. Welcome to all of you, of course. Tomorrow morning, we hope you'll join us for our live streamed Shabbat morning service at 10:30 a.m. We are delighted to be celebrating the bat mitzvah of Lexi. And you're then invited to stay tuned right after our virtual lunch, where Rabbi Cheryl Peretz will be teaching her wonderful class, Life at a Crossroads. On Sunday night, starting at 7:30, we will be joining together with Shomrei Torah for an evening of learning for Shavuot on Zoom. It's our Tikkun Leil Shavuot program. You can even try to make yourself a nice dairy snack to enjoy sitting in front of the screen during our program. Next Friday night, we'll be together in person again for our every third Shabbat around the world. That's still at 7 o'clock. You'll need to RSVP online during the week as space is limited. Next Shabbat, we'll be celebrating the Bat Mitzvah of Maddie Saltz during our morning service and the Bar Mitzvah of Joshua Fetter during our Mincha service at 4:45. The Aliyah Grand Prix is just 9 days away. Are you getting excited? In addition to seeing the 60 cars compete on our 100-foot raceway, we'll welcome celebrity guests, have a 50-50 raffle with a jackpot worth thousands, and you'll be able to bet on which cars will beat our clergy cars. And we as a clergy team give you full permission to bet against us here. You can tune in to the ESPN-style broadcast featuring the play-by-play announcing of Pac-12 Network's Danny Lee. So this is Sunday, May 23rd, 6:30 p.m. Mark your calendar. Keep an eye out for an email headed your way this week with details about the 50-50 raffle, the Beat the Clergy wagers, all kinds of things. Most importantly, we want you to know we're here for you. Our staff, for the most part, is still continuing to work from home. So the best way to reach us, as usual, is by email. But we are really excited to start seeing more of you soon in person, as soon as we can safely. So you should always be checking our website for updates and our emails, the Tuesday Pulse emails. We'll be posting more and more in-person events. And when we do, we hope to see you there. It would be just so exciting to get to finally be in person with you. So with that, we will conclude our service with Adon Olam.
Or Oseh Shalom.
Shalom.
Or Oseh Shalom. I'm feeling the need for for prayers for peace. So an Israeli version again from Nava Tehillah. I don't think I want to sing in that key. Oseh Shalom bimramav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Ve'imru, amen. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat 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 Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat 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 Shalom.